It's time for Wise Money with Korhorn Financial Group with financial advisors Kevin Korhorn, Mike Bernard, and Josh Gregory.
Welcome to another episode of the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group, where every week we're helping you take your next wise step in your financial life. Thanks for being here, friends. My name is Mike Bernard. I am your host. I'm also one of the certified financial planners. Right here with me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory.
Social Security is an extremely important financial benefit involving some of the most difficult decisions you're going to make in your entire financial life. But it is also extremely confusing. So make sure you don't inadvertently reduce, or as some folks might say, penalize your Social Security by taking the wrong steps in your financial life. We're going to help you avoid those mistakes on this episode.
You're in for a treat today. Before we started recording, it's been the blooper reel today. So I don't know what's coming at you this hour. You might have some questions about what we're talking about. Now, Social Security creates a lot of questions, and we've got some stimulus questions as well. So you can reach out to us online, wisemoneyshow.com, and submit a question right there. You can call or text us 574-222-2000. That's 574-222-2000. Then all over social media, get tons of questions on the YouTube channel and on Facebook. Wherever you're at, you'll find us. Just search the Wise Money Show. Follow us there. All right, numbers transpire really well over the radio waves. I've got a couple numbers for you. 63 million people are on Social Security right now. That's 1 out of 6 U.S. residents. That's a high number.
That is a lot.
The average Social Security benefit is $1,503 per person per month. That's higher than I thought. I was thinking it was close to $1,200. If you start drawing Social Security at 65 and you live until 85, that's $360,000 of benefit. We're not even counting inflation there. And if you live until age 95, that's $540,000. Have I lost you yet? It's a big amount. And if you're married, times 2. You can't make mistakes with this. Kevin said it. It's one of the biggest financial decisions you're going to make in your life. And yet, it's extremely confusing. And there's 2 penalties, or you could call them reductions, depending on your views on things. But 2 penalties we're going to be talking about today to help you avoid.
Absolutely. Well, and if this really is one of the biggest financial decisions that you're going to make during your lifetime, the risk is that you make one of the biggest mistakes of your lifetime. And one of the big mistakes as it pertains to Social Security is not really fully understanding how your age plays into the calculation or the lifetime benefits that you're going to enjoy. And we often talk about penalties and reductions and everything. And let me just kind of draw a distinction here. Penalties or reductions, whatever you want to call them, they happen because you've started drawing before your full retirement age. That's the circumstance that you might find yourself in either reductions or penalties. Your full retirement age depends on when you were born.
Yep.
Okay. If you were born after 1960, then your full retirement age is age 67. And if you were born before 1954, then it's age 66. And then it's a sliding scale in between. So many people listening today, it's probably some age 66 plus some odd months of some sort, right?
And if you're younger listening to this, we've actually got Kevin's middle child in the studio with us today, Caleb. And Caleb, you'll probably draw your full Social Security around 85.
Yes, and you're going to need to work until 85 to pay the Social Security benefits for your dad and grandpa.
Right, because 1 out of 6 people are drawing Social Security right now.
Yes.
And what's the unemployment rate? Anyway, so if you draw your Social Security before your full retirement age and you keep working, that's one of these penalties or reductions. That's the first one I wanted to cover. And so I guess let's start with, well, how's that even work? Because we do get a lot of people, and you might be thinking this right now, hey, my plan is I will work full-time until I can draw Social Security, 62, it's the earliest you can draw, and then I'll work part-time and start my Social Security benefit. But there's a big trap right there.
Yeah, there is, depending on how much money you earn during that phase of working while drawing Social Security. Each year the number changes, but there's a threshold where if your wages go over this amount, they're going to start reducing your benefits from you $1 for every 2 that you earn. So think 50 cents on the dollar is coming off of your Social Security benefit. That threshold this year in the year 2020 is $18,240. This is wages. So think paycheck money, or if you happen to be self-employed, this could be the net profits from your kind of side hustle that you have going, that sort of thing. But that's what they're counting, and if you cross that $18,240 threshold, now you're going to start seeing some of your Social Security penalized.
So if you're listening and you're not in this type of a situation, you might be saying, well, why in the world am I even listening to this show? This doesn't pertain to me. It's not helpful. I would encourage you to kind of lean in, because whether you're already drawing Social Security and you need to give some advice to some of your friends who are coming along behind you, or you're going to need to consider drawing it, we meet with people every week who are at 60, 62, 64, and they're trying to figure out, what should I do with Social Security? And so think of the 62-year-old that shows up at our office and says, hey, I need a plan. And, there's the best time to do a financial plan is in your 20s, and the second best time is today.
Yep.
So get your plan. And so I'm 62. I need a plan. What should I do? I want to be done working. Want to be done working. Well, a number of these folks, because we're kind of institutionalized, and there are some good things about work, when they retire, if they retire at 62 and they turn on Social Security right away, they'll find themselves maybe 6 months later, maybe a year later, saying, you know what, I still want to do something. So if I start drawing at 62 and at 63, I get called back to be a consultant for the place that I used to work, or I go and start delivering groceries for Shipt. I mean, I've seen all kinds of crazy things. All of a sudden, if I make over that, just think $18,000, my Social Security is reduced or penalized, if you will. And so the question is, should I not make over $18,000? I tell people all the time, absolutely. Make as much money as you can. If you have to give back a few bucks, that's fine. You still net. Your bottom line is meaningfully ahead versus if you didn't work at all.
I think, considering the times, it could be possible that you're laid off, or you lose your job, or you're furloughed, or your company closes, or something, and you're planning on working 3-4 more years, but now you're left sort of scratching your head wondering, when will I be able to go back and have earnings? Should I instead turn on Social Security? And I think there's a big risk if you're waiting and you say, well, I guess I'll just turn on Social Security. I need income coming in. I've got unemployment, but I need income coming in. Turn on Social Security, and then decide to later go back to work. Because, Kevin, even though I wouldn't argue with you on that, there's, if you delay your Social Security, it can still grow for you. That 8% or so a year.
That's the key, because what we're talking about is a penalty for earning more than this threshold while you're still working and drawing Social Security early. This is a penalty on top of the reduction that you already voluntarily signed up for.
Yeah.
By drawing early, you're going to receive a lesser amount for the rest of your life. That reduction is based on the age that you start. And then this penalty by working too much is just piled on top.
So what if you start drawing Social Security early before your full retirement age, but your spouse keeps working? What if you're on unemployment? How does all of that factor into Social Security? And then what is the second penalty that you need to avoid? So we've got that and more coming up here on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show. You're at the Wise Money Show channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, like, and leave comments below. Every single business day, I'm coming to you with a next wise step, some sort of financial nugget you need to take action on in your financial life, usually kind of reading the tea leaves of what's going on in the financial news and applying that to your situation. And then once a week, every Saturday, we have a full 1-hour radio show that airs on a couple stations here in northern Indiana, and we record the whole thing and leave it right here for you to watch. So if you're new, again, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Thank you very much. All right. So what do you think? I wonder the layoffs. I wonder if we could look at the 40 million people that have been laid off and look at an age, like an age scale of those 40 million, right? I mean, there's no age discrimination, apparently, because there's laws on that. But, I mean, if you're cutting workforce, do we see, I wonder if we see more 60-year-olds being cut than 25-year-olds. I don't know.
Well, and the question is, when my other social benefits run out, do I hop on Social Security?
Right. That's what I was going to say, too, that it's the 60-year-olds who just have a different decision-making issue ahead of them than the 20-something. The 20-something-year-old has to get back to work as soon as they can, right? But those that are in their 60s, there's more and more people who are trying to make a decision. Do I feel safe going back to work? Is my job going to be there? You know, is the whole world just so different that I may as well just go ahead and retire?
Well, and even still, I mean, even if that percentage, if we break down the 40 million people and it's fewer people in their 60s are let go, you would also say if your job doesn't reopen and you're out looking for work, you probably have fewer choices at 60, and you might say, even what choices are available, some of them I might feel unsafe.
Yeah, so this is the interesting thing. If I'm 62, I could turn on Social Security while I'm getting unemployment.
Yeah, we're gonna hit that next. Yeah,
but if the risk with doing that is I get reemployed in a way that I didn't foresee. And then
you can pause your Social Security,
right?
And they changed the rule, and it is fuzzy in my brain. You get one chance to pause it, or you get one chance to pay it back
within the first 12 months.
Yeah,
is that right?
My goodness. Yeah. My goodness.
Yeah, to me, starting Social Security, especially if the unemployment situation was kind of pushed upon you, you didn't choose this. It feels like a risky thing to do, like a quick stopgap of some sort in your financial life. But were you mentally, emotionally ready to be done working? If not, when things get going again, are you going to be drawn back into the workforce and now have a dilemma on your hands again?
What about rental income? Do we need to hit that? I mean, that's passive, so it depends, right?
Yeah, it's not counted in the penalty.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying, but isn't there one way you can structure having multiple rentals? Like if it's considered active income, if you got your real estate license?
That's still not considered wages, though.
Okay.
Oh, if you're a licensed agent selling properties?
If you're a licensed agent selling properties, but you have rentals, that's fairly common.
So it's
I don't think I would venture into those waters.
That's a pretty small pool of people.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hit a couple of these, unemployment, and what about the year you retire? I reread that again from the Social Security site, and it's a little different than it's been a while since I've looked at that. But, and then spouse still working, and then we'll get into how is Social Security taxed. So, all right. Can you draw unemployment and your Social Security at the same time? Good question. Will your Social Security be penalized? That's what we're talking about right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name's Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on podcast as well. Wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that is iTunes or Google Play or whatever they're calling it now, or Spotify, whatever, you'll find the Wise Money Show there. So head there and subscribe to it. Rate the show as well and catch every episode on podcast. All right, so we're talking about the 2 penalties that come if you make some mistakes with Social Security. We've addressed the first one, that is drawing your Social Security before your full retirement age. For most people, that's 66 and change or 67, and still working, making more than, let's say, $18,000 a year. Guys, does unemployment count towards that $18,000? Can you be penalized on your Social Security by having unemployment?
Well, the short answer is no. And this is a big fear that a lot of people have, is if they begin drawing Social Security early, so before full retirement age, and their intentions are to keep on working, what kind of income would cause them to start getting a penalty or a reduction against their Social Security? It's wages. This is paycheck money. Or if you're self-employed, then your paycheck, so to speak, is considered the profits from your side business. But things like unemployment or interest income, if you have retirement accounts that you start drawing off of, those things don't add into the calculation on whether or not you've cleared a threshold and start getting penalized. Mm-hmm. Just think paycheck money.
So what if you are retiring, or you're laid off or whatever, and you're younger than your full retirement age, and you want to draw Social Security, but your spouse, and you file a joint tax return, your spouse is still working. Let's say they're making $50,000 a year. Is your Social Security penalized because your spouse is making more than that $18,000?
Well, it depends on how you define penalized.
Ooh, we're going to get there next.
Yeah. So when we've talked about the reduction, as far as if I'm retired, drawing Social Security, go to work, and I make more than the $18,000, which would cause a reduction of mine, whatever my spouse makes, whether they make $50,000 or $500,000, that does not reduce my benefit.
Yeah.
The whole idea, if it's $18,000 is the limit, if I made $28,000, that's $10,000 over, and so my benefit, my Social Security benefit, would be reduced by $5,000.
If we haven't said it yet, and maybe your eyes are, rolling in the back of your head, and you're thinking this is so confusing, you really do need to work with a certified financial planner, because not only do you need to sort out all these rules, but you need to make your Social Security decision in the context of all 6 areas of your financial life. It needs to be made in the context of your financial plan, not just whether you can or can't do certain things or have it be penalized. You've got to decide the best way to draw Social Security for your specific situation in the midst of your entire financial life. So one other thing before Kevin, you baited me into the next penalty there, but we do need to mention in the year that you turn your full retirement age, the rules are different. Technically, you can make more than that $18,000. It's just tricky.
It's a lot more.
It's a lot more.
About $30,000 a year more. Your limitation, or that threshold that your income can go up to before they start penalizing you, goes all the way to $48,600 that year.
And I'm just going to ask the question, which you should never ask when it comes to these types of rules, and that is, why? Why would they do that? Why did they do that? All of a sudden, the year you turn your full retirement age, you can make $30,000 extra. It doesn't make any sense. But
apparently, it's just consolation. Like you got close enough, right?
Yeah. Okay.
One other thing to keep in mind, and this is part of the reason why you work with a certified financial planner when you're making these decisions, like when to draw Social Security and how to structure your work life if you want to work part-time in retirement. We keep talking about annual thresholds. Like it's $18,240 that you can earn before you start getting penalized. It's technically a monthly threshold. So you break that down into months. The months matter. Just like drawing early, it's calculated by the number of months that you draw early, not technically the number of years. So sometimes, getting into the details, especially as you get closer and closer to your retirement goal, your financial planning really needs to ramp up a lot. Your conversations with your financial planner, they need to get more detailed, and make sure that you're not making any of these mistakes or missing these details.
Yeah, people don't want to make mistakes. Mike, you asked the question, why? Ours is not to question why. Ours is but to do and die. Thank you, Alfred Lord Tennyson. But I do think what a lot of people are tempted to do is if there's three of us here and I say, well, Mike, what did you do? Okay, Josh, what did you do? And then I say, well, there you go. I've got my answer. I'm going to do what my friends did. And that is one of quite possibly the worst, if not the worst, ways to make your decisions, because it's highly likely that their financial situation is dramatically different than yours. It's highly likely that their health is different than yours. Because the folks that I was meeting with this week were saying, well, we just want to know, like, what is the right answer? It's like if we have the teacher's manual and in the back, remember in the back of the teacher's book, there were the answers. Well, that doesn't exist. So the answers for your situation, the right answers, and it's important to know the only way you'll ever know whether you got it right or not is after you die. That's the only way we'll ever know for sure whether it was right, is in hindsight to see when did you start drawing, how many months did you give up that you could have received. Because if I'm going to wait until full retirement age and I die the month before, hey, it's possible that I gave up 3 or 4 years of benefit that I could have been drawing.
I'm pretty sure you just said a bunch of amazing things, but I was totally distracted by the fact that you were quoting poetry on the radio show. I don't think I could quote a single poem.
Roses are red.
That's about as far as I go. With it.
1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish.
All right, so the first penalty is you draw your Social Security before your full retirement age, and you just keep working. And you end up making too much. And I've seen this happen. Kevin, sometimes we're asked whether I should do this or not. I've seen it happen inadvertently, so you got to watch out for that. Here's the way I view taxes. I view taxes like a speed limit, and sometimes people are like, whoa, taxes, what is it? There's only 2 certainties in life, and
Death and taxes.
Death and taxes.
I view taxes as like a canker sore.
Yeah, well, but basically, the more you tax,
sciatica,
the slower I'm gonna go. Right? It's basically like, hey, don't go too fast here. And here's the thing, and it's those of you that know me know that I can really get on a soapbox here with Social Security and taxes. But yes, it's true. They do tax it. They might tax it. They could tax it if you aren't careful. And I view that as another penalty.
Yeah, or at least another surprise or a mistake, right? Because at the end of the day, depending on your income situation, you may have to count up to 85% of your Social Security on the tax return.
The tax is 85%?
That's what everyone hears, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to kind of clarify that point. You're not going to pay 85% of your Social Security to the tax man.
Right. The easiest way to say it is just, hey, you're going to pay taxes on all the Social Security that you receive.
Or most.
That would be a lot.
That's closer to the truth
Right.
and more instructive than almost any other way you can say it.
All right, so there it is. There's the second penalty, but you have a lot of choice with this, believe it or not. And you say, wait, are you telling me to cheat on taxes? No, I'm telling you to follow the laws and basically make some financial decisions, do tax planning to maybe allow your Social Security to be less taxed than otherwise. We're going to tell you how. That and more coming up here on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group.
So, dude, the big tax planning piece really is if I'm retired at 62, I've got 3 years. So if I was going to plan a glide path to retire at 62, I'd figure out a way to not draw Social Security and to keep my income below a certain limit, maybe 52,000, something like that, so that my health care is free. And so this is
What's at odds with that, though?
I have to live.
You have to live. You need income. And if since your 20s, you've been saving into that pre-tax retirement account, that's going to be tricky. But we are doing that strategy for lots of folks.
So this is where it's almost like we need to talk about the 6 areas of financial planning again to say how does this COVID-19 the tax piece affect the rest of our life.
The this issue right here of Social Security being taxed is, I mean, just about a perfect illustration for the 6 areas of financial planning and how it impacts just about every one. So yeah, I mean, we can take it here and run with it. This is third segment, so we got to wrap this up here.
Well, so how do you want to do
I don't
that?
know. Let's just start talking. We'll figure it out.
You sound like
Famous last words right there.
me. There are never
Hey,
any.
can I get some power? Are
Yeah.
you-
Who's did someone's
Thank you.
computer chime when we started the last segment?
I think
I-
that was Lindsay's.
Yeah, I blame Lindsay.
Okay. Okay, so we said that one of the penalties on your Social Security is that it could be taxed. You got to pay state tax on it. What about FICA tax? And at what tax rates? And how do you avoid it? Can I ask any more questions? I think I could. All right, we're hitting that right now. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Thanks for being here. My name is Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Every episode of the Wise Money Show is on the YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, search Wise Money Show. Follow us there, like it, subscribe, set up notifications, all that sort of stuff, because not only do you get this show every single week, you get a Next Wise Step every single business day, talking through what's going on in the financial world and how it applies to you and what steps you need to take. Social Security, we cover a lot there because it's so stinking confusing. With Social Security, one of the penalties, the way I view it, is taxes. I'd rather have you make choices, make decisions in your financial life. We call that tax planning, so that Social Security can be less taxed. Can we just hit a little bit about how this works? Like when does, and maybe in general terms, when does Social Security become taxable?
Yeah, it all depends on what your sources of income are. There's a crazy calculation. It's complicated, and the way that I could maybe best describe it is essentially on your tax return, your CPA is going to take all your other sources of income and add to it half of your Social Security, and then it gets measured against certain thresholds. And when you clear certain levels, all of a sudden, some of your Social Security is going to start showing up on the tax return as income that gets counted. And it's that calculation, totaling up all of your sources of income and how much of Social Security applies. That's what determines ultimately how much tax you're going to pay. Mm-hmm. Not everybody has to count their Social Security on their return because they don't have a lot of other income going into this crazy calculation. And the big mistake or the penalty, or I would use the word surprise that can often occur, is you have some event that happens in a taxable year that makes your income spike all of a sudden. Maybe it's something you did on purpose. Maybe it was just some great windfall that you received. But whatever it was, it causes this calculation to go up and therefore more of your Social Security to be counted. And before you know it, it's almost like a double whammy against you. You're going from not even counting Social Security to all of a sudden being in a high enough tax bracket that you're paying some real taxes.
That surprise you talk about, I mean, the way you framed it almost sounds like this this good thing, this surprise. The number one surprise in this, as it relates to, my Social Security is all of a sudden taxable, that I found, I'd be interested to hear what you guys think, is the new car. Okay, I need a car. And I don't want to get a car loan. I'm 72. I'm not getting a car loan. So I know you've only been sending me $1,000 out of my IRA, and that's low enough where it doesn't make my Social Security taxable, and I'm in a pretty great tax situation. Hey, send me $20,000, and I can buy this car, or
Yep.
$25,000, and then bam. I mean, it's almost like if you don't have enough other income in that calculation that Josh just shared, and therefore none of your Social Security is taxable, it's pretty much like you're not going to pay any federal tax.
That's right.
I mean, the way they have the standard deduction now, it's pretty much like you're not going to pay any tax. And then all of a sudden, once Social Security starts getting taxable, you quickly get through the 10 and very easily into the high 12% tax bracket just because of it's about a $10,000 to $15,000 difference, which is about a car.
Right. So when we ask folks, hey, who helps you with your tax planning, they are tempted to say, well, this
TurboTax.
yeah, I just someone on the block. And so you just say, all right, well, that's preparation? Who helps you with the planning? Because what you're illustrating, Mike and Josh, is I have a decision to make. I either have to create a tax minimization strategy or a tax maximization strategy, which means I'm going to pay as much tax as I possibly can. Because if you get to a point where your Social Security benefit, which shows up on line 5A, is mostly showing up again on line 5B, which means that's what you're paying taxes on, you probably should try and find a way to get to the top of the 12% tax bracket. Pay as much tax as possible in the lowest possible bracket. And I was showing that to some clients yesterday, and I was talking about possibly doing, as long as you're going to pay tax on most of your Social Security
This year,
and you've got some room in the 12% tax bracket, why don't we do a Roth conversion?
yes.
And they said, so you're saying you think our kids should pay, you think we should pay taxes on this money, not our kids. And I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the person in the lowest possible tax bracket should pay taxes on it. You're in the 12% tax bracket. All three of your kids are in the 22% tax bracket. And if you both died tomorrow, they're going to inherit this IRA money. They're going to have to take it out and pay taxes on it over the next 10 years. Used to be their lifetime. Now it's 10 years. Mm-hmm. And when they do, they're possibly going to go from 22 to 24 to who knows. Mm-hmm. So I'm not suggesting that I want you to pay taxes on it so your kids don't. I am just representing your financial plan, and your financial plan says have the person in the lowest tax bracket pay the taxes on the money.
Yeah, I love that as a rule of thumb. And if that doesn't get someone to move, here's a scenario that might. What if it's not both spouses are gone tomorrow, one spouse is gone tomorrow?
Yeah.
And you have an opportunity to get money out of an IRA and into a Roth IRA where it's tax-free forever for the surviving spouse, because one of you is most likely going to pass away before the other. It's pretty uncommon for a married couple to both die in some crazy accident, but it obviously does happen.
Did you ever watch The Notebook?
No, I haven't actually. But we don't have time
Mike's
for
a
that.
crier,
We
so
don't
he
have-
should stay away from that one, right?
Do you have to pay FICA tax on your Social Security? No, you do not. Don't get me started. Do you have to? Is it taxed by the state? Now, I don't know all 50 plus, but at least the states that I'm aware of, you don't. It's a deduction. Your Social Security, any Social Security that's taxable on your federal return is a deduction on your state return. I'm not saying that for every state.
There's 13 states that doesn't apply for.
For
but
now.
all of them around here,
Yeah.
around our neck of the woods, your Social Security doesn't get counted on the state return.
But be careful how you vote, because last I checked, states are struggling financially, and this could be ripe for the picking. Okay, we've got to hit this. So what do you do? What do you do to avoid these penalties, specifically the tax rule? We've already said it. The first thing is if you didn't create a financial plan in your 20s, and you don't have one right now, you need to contact a CFP who does comprehensive financial planning and start the financial planning process, because figuring out the best way to draw Social Security and avoid these penalties is part of that process. That's what you need to be doing right now. The other couple things, I think Roth, I think shoebox HSA, investing HSA. I think if you're right on the cusp of retirement and all your money is pre-tax, saving as much money as possible into cash and Roth. What else?
Well, I mean, you're getting into specific strategies. It depends on the fact pattern. It depends on someone's situation, which is exactly why the right answer is the financial plan, that relationship with your certified financial planner. They're going to help make sure that when you take action, you've considered all of the potential consequences, which includes tax ramifications, associated with your Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would answer that question. What's the strategy to avoid taxes on my Social Security? My strategy is don't.
Don't avoid it.
Don't avoid it. It's going to stink, but pay it. And this is where you want to prove it to yourself. Don't take my word for it. Prove it to yourself that that's the best strategy for you.
And clarity, confidence, and any creativity those are the objectives. Those are the 3 mandates of your certified financial planner. All right, got a great question here about 2 of them here about how does the stimulus money really impact me? Should I make some decisions? That and more coming up here on the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. Good? Okay. All right. Short break. Let's just go 1, 2, 3. I think those first 2 will be quick.
Back up.
Maybe not. We can talk stimulus from it. The crazy thing is, a week from now, we don't know what the latest will be.
I know, but here's what we know. We know that people aren't going to have to pay it back.
Yeah, I mean, right. There's things around this.
So the people that are sitting there with the money in their bank account, saying, it's almost like the PPP loan, right? Is it going to be forgiven or it's not forgiven? Look, the forgiveness mechanism has already been triggered on that stimuli.
Yeah.
Wait, we're going to ask this question about receiving the stimulus money?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hasn't that kind of old news ship has sailed?
What videos get the most views? You use the word stimuli in YouTube, and everyone, people go crazy. It's like a stimulus itself.
It's like catnip.
It is. People still have tons of questions about this thing. So, and there's things to talk about with it. All right. Thanks for being here. This is the Wise Money Show with Korhorn Financial Group. My name's Mike Bernard. Here with me in the KFG studios, Kevin Korhorn and Josh Gregory. Stay up to date on all Wise Money content wherever you're at on social media. You'll find the Wise Money Show right there. Just search the Wise Money Show. Subscribe, follow, like, leave comments as well. We appreciate it. That helps other people find our content, the Wise content, amidst all of the other financial noise that's out there. And it just feels like with all this chaos going on with the coronavirus and recession and blah, 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 there's a whole bunch of financial noise. So find us on wherever you're at in social media. Just search the Wise Money Show. All right, we're into my favorite section of the show, and that is questions from fans. And I got a couple anonymous ones here. I think they were just posted on some Facebook or YouTube, social media. First one's kind of an oldie but a goodie, because I think there's just still a lot of questions about this. Can I not claim my college student so that they could receive some stimulus money? Now, this is interesting. There was all this uproar about these direct payments, these direct stimulus payments called the helicopter money. So all this uproar that if you were just on Social Security or you weren't filing a tax return, or if you were a veteran, you were going to miss out. And everyone was just all up in arms. Well, all of that was rumor. You didn't miss out. However, if you're a college-age student, you missed out.
That's
like
right.
they specifically said, if you're in college, nope.
Right. So because you didn't get the $1,200 check dumped into your bank account, and your parents didn't get a child benefit for you either.
I can't believe that. Like, do you think it was intentional?
Does Congress do anything intentional?
I wonder. I mean, if it wasn't intentional, what an enormous blunder. Because specifically, so if you could have been claimed as a dependent on someone else's return, and the question is, can I just choose not to claim them? No.
Right.
I mean, you could, I guess, but it doesn't make them eligible for a stimulus check.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, and I was in that situation where I said I want to not claim my college student so that my college student can receive the stimulus check. And my CPA said, no, you have to claim them. And I said, well, what benefit do I get from claiming him? And there's no financial benefit to me to claiming him. And so it does feel like if you want to play the victim card, when you need to be able to claim a dependent to get some sort of help on your taxes, you can't. And when you want to not claim someone, you have to.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm looking at Caleb Kevin's middle son in the studio with us today, and
It's his fault.
I'm trying to read whether there's a feeling of vulnerability on his face right now, like his status in the family might be in jeopardy with no benefits coming to these college students. However, there may be other benefits that really make it kind of a no-brainer for you to, of course, want to claim your college student if you're getting some of the normal college credits that have been around for ages.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. A couple other things related to this. Number one, I was just joking at the break that, you mentioned stimulus on YouTube, and it is a stimuli. I mean, like it is. There is so much buzz around stimulus right now. So, is there going to be another $1,200 check? Who knows? And then will it be set up where it's the same, that these college students or these dependents who aren't younger than 17, you won't get the money? I don't know. We'll see.
But here's what you want to know in 15 seconds or less. If you are married and made less than $150,000 in the last 1 or 2 years, it's incredibly complicated. But if your income's less than 150, or if you're single and less than 75, yep, Mike's timing me.
Yeah, that's right.
Then you should be getting some sort of a check, and if you have children, your children should be getting some sort of a check. So there's 35 million as of right now, 35 million stimulus checks that have yet to be mailed. So there are a lot of folks who are likely unaware, and there is a lot of confusion because early on, as I was talking with folks, they're like, "Well, yeah, I got this check and it's sitting in my bank account, but I'm not doing anything with it because I'm just gonna have to pay it back at the end of the year." So I think are we gonna shed some light on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay, here we go. The big reveal. Drum roll, please. No.
So it's a 2020. It's a tax year 2020 tax credit, and because it's a tax credit, in and of itself, it's not taxable income to you. It's a tax credit. Now, the weird thing is that they will give you that credit in advance if your 2019 return was filed and your income was below those thresholds, or if your 2019 return wasn't filed, then your 2018 return was filed and it was below those thresholds. Now, the question then is, well, wait a second, what if my 2019 income was below those thresholds, but 2020, I think my income is going to be a little bit higher. Kudos to you. I mean, by the way, they're not going to take it back. They're not going to take it back. If you qualified in 19 and 18 or 18, and yet you wouldn't have qualified in 2020. But the reverse of that, if you didn't qualify in 19 or 18, but you would qualify in 20, I'm saying it definitively, but not absolute, because I trust the government just as far as I can throw it. And that is, it's supposed to show up as a tax credit on your 2020 return if you didn't receive it and weren't eligible based on 19.
Well, and you got to wonder how many people are going to remember that fact 9 months from now. And, somehow papering your file or somehow beginning your 2020 tax file with a note to yourself. Hopefully your CPA, certainly your certified financial planner, should have this on their radar screen to make sure that if you haven't gotten a check and you are eligible in 2020, make sure you get it.
All right, you want to hear some stimulus, guys?
Sure.
Kevin's going to have a stimulus here when he hears this next question. This one gets him fired up. This one's also anonymous. It came on the social media. With all the money printing and stimulus and all this money that's been injected into the system, is right now the time to buy gold?
Absolutely. Buy gold till your hands bleed. I mean, this, I can't believe.
I told you. Look at
I can't believe you're even asking the question. Take your stimulus check and buy gold. Buy gold, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold.
Gold necklaces, though, right? You're the Mr. T starter set guy, right?
Hey, I'm gonna have gold teeth with a K, right? A diamond K, right? No, listen. Here's the question. I just go back to in the late 70s, early 80s. I don't have it up in front of me, when gold was $800 an ounce, and right now it's $1,600.
$1,700, I think.
$1,700
in that range.
Yeah. So, and what happened earlier this year when all asset classes went down? When all asset classes drop off a cliff, like they did earlier, gold isn't going to, right?
Right, because it's a hedge, right? It's a safe haven. Safe haven is the one that gets me. It's extremely volatile, but so it didn't. The first couple weeks when there was panic selling, or the last week in February, first week in March, gold did okay. But then when the panic waterfall was happening, the next couple weeks in March, gold dropped just like everything else, and as much as everything else. And so that safe haven is just not really that safe.
So instead of just throwing cold water on the idea, there are some things that I don't like about buying gold. The problem with gold is it's not really bought; it's sold. So people sell you on the idea, and so if you listen to the radio and they say, "Hello, this is Joshua from Gregory Financial, and we see gold prices doubling within the next 6 months." So the smart people are all buying it. No, there are certain costs with buying something that represents gold. There are certain costs with buying and storing physical gold. And what is the dividend yield on gold?
Yeah, zero.
You
It
didn't even need
pay you interest, doesn't pay a dividend.
You didn't even need to go there. You said the early 80s. Let's just say 1980. The gold was $800 an ounce. And if you then heard Kevin say, but it's $1,700 today, you'd say, that's stinking good. Well, the S&P 500, the stock market, is 3,000. Okay, this is around 3,000 right now. It was 128.
Yeah.
Back in 1981. It was 118 in 1980. And on top of that rise from 128 to 3,000, it's been paying an average dividend between 2 and 3% a year on top of that growth.
It's because when you invest in the U.S. stock market, you're investing in world-class corporations, companies that are businesses, well-run companies. Not all of them. Some of them are, their best days are in the rearview mirror. But not most. Most companies are providing valuable services and products that you and I want and need. And because of that, they earn profits that you could own a share of. And also, those companies, they own physical assets themselves. They own vehicles and plants and distribution centers and stores and things. And those things tend to go up in value with inflation as well. That's really the play here, I think, that the question is being asked about is this some sort of a protection? Gold, is it a protection against inflation due to all the cash that's been pumped into the economy, all the printing of money that's happening? A lot of people fear that inflation is just going to run wild. And there's just this mentality that gold, well, it's just a great hedge or a protection against inflation because it goes up in value with inflation, right? Well, it goes up and down in value, and it's more speculative in nature. I like owning things like real estate and companies, stocks to protect me against inflation, not gold.
The other thing is, will all this money printing actually create inflation? And you'd say, well, that guy's an idiot. Of course it will. Well, did it in 2008 and 9?
Right.
When they did all this stimulus. It actually didn't.
Right.
It actually didn't. And if you're following us on the Wise Money Show YouTube channel, you've heard me talk about the velocity of money and how the more stimulus we haven't had as much money circulating around the economy. It's not moving as quickly. And could it now? Well, geez, if this economic crisis was really just a flash in the pan, right? If it was, and we dumped all this money in the system, we actually might get inflation now. We might. I don't know, though. We didn't last time. So that's a big question mark. If you're trying to hedge against inflation, I'm not sure. I completely agree with Josh. I'm not sure gold's the way to do it. But I would also ask, do you need what?
Did Josh?
It sounds like
that?
you just said that you disagree with me.
Oh no, I thought you said I like real estate and the S&P 500 or stocks.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on the same page.
Now that we
doesn't sound like it. That's all.
Now that we got that clear.
And owning
we're out of time.
owning those in a very efficient manner.
That's right.
Which is possible.
All right, but that is all the time we have for today. Hey, thanks for the questions. Continue to leave more. On behalf of Josh Gregory, Kevin Corhorn, and all of us at KFG, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Saturday for the Wise Money Show with Corhorn Financial Group.
Securities offered through Silver Oak Securities, member FINRA/SIPC. Advisory services offered through KFG Wealth Management LLC. Doing business as Korhorn Financial Group. KFG Wealth Management LLC and Silver Oak Securities Incorporated companies are unaffiliated.